Welcome to another episode of the Cat Breeding for Beginners podcast. I'm Pamela and I breed British Shorthairs in Perth, Western Australia. I have a real passion for cat breeding and exhibiting, and I want to share my knowledge and experience with you. I'm on a mission to help new cat breeders go from feeling intimidated, confused and having trouble getting started to confidently breeding happy and healthy cats whilst enjoying this amazing hobby. Before we get started, make sure you visit my website and download your copy of my helpful guide, Advice to New Breeders, where experienced breeders share some great tips they wish someone told them when they started breeding. You can find the link on my homepage at www.catbreedingforbeginners.com. Just look for the picture of Angelica with her kittens.
I get asked a lot whether or not I give my cats supplements, whether or not I give my breeding cats supplements. And by supplements, I mean like things like extra vitamins and minerals, supplements basically, on top of what they're eating. And the answer is no, I do not. Especially not my breeding cats, especially not my breeding females, and especially not when they're pregnant. Now, the thing about it is that they have extra nutritional requirements. Yes, absolutely. And often when a girl is pregnant, she's coming off being in season and she's probably lost weight during that time. So she comes into her pregnancy often quite thin. And our natural instinct is to feed her up and fatten her up, and that she must be missing something and we need to give her extra. We also want to then make sure that she's getting what the babies need. So we want to give her even more extra on top of that. And this is where we sort of think about, people pregnancy, human pregnancy, and how you might take vitamins in that situation. But really, if you're feeding your cats correctly, it's not necessary. Now, if you're feeding a raw diet, you have to be really careful to make sure that you've got everything your cats need, because you don't want your cats to be deficient. I have no experience in that whatsoever, so I can't comment any further than that. But if you're feeding a commercial diet and you've chosen something like so I'm a Royal Canin ambassador, no secret there, but I would feed the Royal Canin mother and baby cat, which is specifically designed for mother cats and little kittens when they're weaning, but that's for the mums. You can also feed them, depending on where you live. It's not available where I am, but you can also get Royal Canin Queen, which is again specially made for breeding females. And you can also even feed them kitten, Royal Canin Kitten, or any other commercial brand that has a kitten or a breeding female type diet. You can choose that diet, because that diet is going to have everything they need to make their babies, everything they need to put their babies together. And if you give them anything else on top, if you start giving them vitamins and minerals and things on top of that, you run the risk of overdosing them on some of those things. If they don't have a deficiency, they don't need to have extra. Extra can sometimes be harmful. Some vitamins, especially things like vitamin A, and I think vitamin D is probably another one. Vitamin A is not good for pregnancy if you overdose it, if you have too much of it. If you are adding that on top of what they're already getting in their food. If you're adding vitamins and minerals on top of what they're getting in their food, you run the risk of giving them too much. And if you give them too much of these things, you can run the risk of having birth defects. And the birth defects you'll have to see are things like cleft palates, midline issues. It's not good. We don't do it with people. There's things that you shouldn't be having, while you're pregnant with babies with people. Vitamin A is one of them. So you need to be super careful not to be adding too much on top. If you want to make sure that everything's going to be okay, just stick to the food that's made for them. Unless your vet says otherwise. Don't be adding in lots of vitamins and minerals and things thinking that, the more is better, because the more is not better. More is sometimes worse. And often you won't notice anything until you start seeing a pattern. So we often put these issues down to being genetic issues or just congenital issues. But then if it happens over and over, then you'll be able to see that there's a pattern, and it's at that point that we realize it's something to do with what they're consuming, or sometimes it's an environmental thing as well. But that pattern won't show up until you've had losses, until you've had problems. until you've had a lot of them happening over and over. And so it's just better not to get to that point, because that's a really sad thing, that's the really difficult and sad thing, to get to that point where you would notice there was a pattern. What I'd really hope is that you just didn't have to worry about it because your cats and kittens were all great. So if you are thinking that should I give my cats supplements? My answer is always going to be no. My answer is always going to be feed them a really good diet and they will have everything they need. If you give them extra stuff, you run the risk of giving them birth defects, and nobody wants that. So any questions about that, feel free to ask me. You can find me on Facebook and send me a message on my Facebook page, Cat Breeding for Beginners, and I'd love to chat to you more about it. Okay, bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you visit www.catbreedingforbeginners.com, where you can find articles, guides, courses and more. Plus, make sure you check out my amazing New Cat Breeders Club. It's a supportive space where new cat breeders can learn, share and help each other. I only take new members a few times a year, so sign up to make sure you don't miss out.